opportunity.
Oh, what? On his way down, able to put that one in.
2-on-1 situation for the remaining defender, but Vectos, he'll take a 2-on-1 any day. And
Pass completely trumps the defense.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of the Astronauts Star Circuit, powered by Beyond Entertainment and ASTRO Gaming. My name is Frank, and with me tonight is Ninja Rider. Ninja Rider, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing pretty good.
Nice. We got more Rocket League in store tonight, so never a bad night when you have that going on, and it's a pretty big night too.
It's never a bad night when I'm here.
True.
Kappa.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll attest to that. So
Because I am just that good.
Just that good.
Kappa. Huge Kappa.
Yeah. So we got some big matches, and while the personalities are big here, as always when we have you on board,
Very large head.
the matches tonight though is pretty crazy. So for anyone just tuning in, maybe you heard about the pro matches that all 10 RLCS teams did register for tonight's event, but this might be your first time tuning into a Star Circuit event. So we want to go through the format, the prizing, the leaderboard, the bracket for you guys tonight. So real quick, we'll run through it. Prizing tonight, first place going to be taking home $1,500, and second place taking home $500 tonight as well. So not only is this something, an event that spans several months, several events that leads to a $10,000 grand final in April, there's money on the line each and every night. And let's take a look at our leaderboard, because I know some people kind of discuss this and wonder how we seed things, so I want to touch on that real quick too. Basically, points are tied to each individual player, but if you stick with your team, then you're going to be able to pull your points and seed yourselves higher. So you have the big names like Spacestation Gaming. They've been at the top for a long time now, amassing those points. And based on their performance here tonight, it is possible that they will statistically have enough points to secure a spot in that grand final for that $10,000. But to kind of give a little example on how the points work, so say like First Killer had a team change a few weeks ago, and he had competed before and moved to players who hadn't competed yet in Wonder and Kronovi. So originally, when they were seeded just based on First Killer's points, but now they've amassed enough points to be in 6th place with 66 points. And interesting, hopefully they get some more points so we don't have any more cursed point standings with the 6th place 66 there. But that's kind of how it works. So what our aim to do with that was, it benefits some of the smaller individual players. If you don't have a consistent roster, you can still get points the more you compete week after week, and those follow you individually. But obviously, if you have a roster that you stick with, then that benefit kind of increases. And finally, the big stuff to talk about tonight with all 10 RLCS teams in it is the bracket. A very interesting turn of events happened at a couple of spots, not shown just on the bracket on screen here with just the quarters and on. But just to break this down, Space Station took down NRG Esports, so they're going to be your first semifinal here tonight. G2 took down Charlotte Phoenix, and Charlotte Phoenix had a couple of nice matches where they upset some teams, but G2 in that first semifinal tonight. And Ghost Gaming taking down not RLRS, and Rogue taking down Affinity. So
We should probably also mention Ghost Gaming took down E United earlier in the bracket as well.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, there was a bunch. I mean, you guys, you can go to teambeyond.net and just look at that bracket. Honestly, there's like too many upsets and interesting matchups to really mention. Like another one is Charlotte Phoenix took down Flight. There was a bunch of stuff, and I think there was another one with what was it? Sonics. Oh, Affinity took down Sonics as well. So yeah, just a lot of interesting matches. And just as a little tease, we've heard some feedback on trying to get more matches on stream. So that is something that is being discussed currently. If you were here for the pre-stream, you got a little bit of a leak early. So it's something we're looking into, just to let everyone know.
And it's a little tough with the timing and things like that. That has to come into play for production and for everything else going on. So
yeah,
we're doing our best. Trust me, we want to bring you some of the best Rocket League we can here
yeah.
at Beyond, and there is some fantastic Rocket League happening that's not on stream, and we know that. Like I said, just comes down to timing and how we can
logistics.
do that. For
Working through a couple logistics,
yep.
And we might have something for you guys. But what we have for you guys right now, straight off the rip, is going to be Space Station Gaming versus G2 Esports. Space Station Gaming has been very solid in the Star Circuit. I mean, you saw them at the top of the leaderboard. They've been placing very well, but as more and more of these top RLCS teams get those seeding points and start working their way through the brackets, the matchups get tougher and tougher, and their opponents tonight, G2 Esports. So Ninja Rider, before we get into this, any predictions on how you think this first match of the night is going to play out?
Well, I mean, Chrome joined Space Station as a coach back in October, and that seems to have helped them out quite a bit. They do have a bit of a hill to climb here against Chicago JNAPS and Rizzo in G2, but really, this should be, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be a walk in the park for G2. It's going to be tough. Space Station playing very well, and they have a lot to prove here tonight. So I think it's going to be a fairly even match, and it should be quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Glad to have y'all on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, something interesting, too, just to point out is because some of these RLCS teams joined into the Star Circuit a little bit late, we didn't really have we had some big names showing up week 1, but week 2 and 3, they started to trickle in more and more, and now you have all 10 here. So G2 actually, based on how that seeding works, they were actually 29th seed tonight, but they're able to take down Space Station Gaming here in this first semifinal. They're getting a lot more points on the board. So here we go, game number 1 of this first best of 7 is live. Space Station versus G2 Esports. G2 probably on paper the favorites, but in the Star Circuit, Space Station Gaming is that number 1 seed, so they are the team to beat with regards to points.
We should probably reiterate a little bit that the importance of the Star Circuit points and things like that here in the Star Circuit is paramount. Yeah, the seedings do get a little funny sometimes. That's just kind of the way it works in a system like this. And so players are just going to have to deal with it. It's not necessarily a bad thing either for any of these players to go up against some interesting matchups in some of the random teams that they come across. So we're already in about the first minute or so of this game, fairly much a stalemate. A couple of pushes here and there. Sipical can't quite get that shot. Sets up Arsenal. Rizzo's up for this, looking for a pass, but Chicago just couldn't get up there in time. But he does position well. Pass over to JNAP. Shot off the corner. Not going to happen this time out, and still the pressure is on for Space Station.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the seeding, and it kind of, what we wanted to do is try to award consistency in the Star Circuit. So with those RLCS teams entering a little bit later, they were just playing from a little bit of a disadvantage. But if you took a look at the bracket tonight, you notice it's all kind of working itself out. And that's why we have some killer matchups like we do here for tonight. Here's JNAPS for G2 up.
Sent to the other side.
Yeah.
AXP got a great touch on that. That was fantastic. Down to Rizzo. Ground shot. AXP blocks and challenged in the corner. G2 trying to push for it. They are going to gain control here. Just about 2 minutes gone in this game 1. Chicago down to Rizzo. Rizzo had to get the heck out of there, though. Sipical nearly demoed him. Pushed him out of the way. Sipical off the back wall. Still control. JNAP takes over, though. And G2 starting to apply some pressure. Chicago shot! Sipical gets the block. Rizzo bangs AXP out of the way and slams it home.
Great persistence there from Rizzo. You see him, the shot cam gets that first touch, wraps around from the corner to ensure that one finds the net. So it's G2 Esports popping the cap off the top first on the reigning champ Space Station Gaming, that first seed. Good stuff out of G2, but like you said, the statistical favorite just from, outside of the Star Circuit matchups, because, Rocket League exists in a continuous state of play all over.
What?
So
you mean it's not set? There's no set best team? Wow.
It's crazy. And I think it just, from, my time of kind of watching it, I feel like it just gets crazier and crazier. And that's kind of what I like about the Star Circuit, too, is you have a lot of these smaller teams that put up some really great fights against the top competition.
Arsenal, passover, looking for Typical. Shot, that was high. Chicago there to block anyways, just in case. As Rizzo passes over to JNaps, down to Chicago. It's 1v2. AXP's up for this, looking for a pass over to Typical in the corner. 2 minutes left here, game one. JNaps over to Chicago. G2 constantly looking for passes. Shot knocked down. JNaps will finish this one off after Chicago takes a great pass. That was a beautiful play from G2.
Yeah, JNaps not sleeping on that one. And yet again, a player setting up the pass to his teammate, and then that same player wraps around to get the goal. We saw that happen with Rizzo, and now we saw that happen with JNaps as G2 Esports a 2-goal lead on Spacestation.
You mentioned the setup and things like that, and someone who's not familiar with Rocket League at all, first time watching, said to me that this sort of reminds them of volleyball in a way. How you kind of set in front of the net as JNaps takes a shot, a demo from Rizzo on AXB. Rizzo's been in the backfield, in the forefield, I should say, for pretty much this whole game, and has been setting up shots left and right as JNaps takes advantage of that demo. Beautifully done, 3-0.
Yeah, but I like what you mentioned, because it is like, okay, a lot of people make that early connection. It's like soccer with cars, right? But as the meta sort of evolves, the aerial game out of all of these players, the mechanical skill gets better and better. Yeah, the ball spends so much more time in the air, it does start to look a little bit more like volleyball as opposed to just soccer, where the ground game is so much more important.
It's kind of like playing volleyball with a dose of hockey.
Yeah, and a shot of nitrous.
Oh, shot. Oh, man. A shot of nitrous. You know, you needed a little bit more oomph behind that statement. That was beautiful.
Thank you. I'll work on the we'll try to get the going tonight. Again, it's game number 1, the first semifinal of the best of 7. The has to take its time to develop. And Arsenal puts a little on that one to find the first goal for Space Station Gaming.
Had to take over for Typical, who was taking on 2 G2 members in the side corner. I take it back, that was only 1, but still, they were swarming all over him. And luckily, he had a teammate there to go ahead and finish off that one with a shot of nitrous.
Absolutely.
But I've been watching too much wrestling. Jeez.
That's all right. That's never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. But with the clock winding down here, looks like G2 Esports has positioned themselves to take game number 1.
Ooh, that was an interesting touch. We'll had to back off. A little bit of an awkward moment there with the 30-second timer going off for G2, but they managed to gather it back up. Space Station back on the attack. Attempting to get a little bit of momentum moving into game 2, but G2 hasn't necessarily dominated per se, but they've done a pretty good job of keeping pace on the ball and making sure that it goes where they want it to go as opposed to, well, in their net. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. A good amount of control coming out of G2 Esports here in game number 1, and they are awarded with that first game win, the 29th seed, which seems unheard of when you see it next to G2 Esports, but within the star circuit, they were kind of just not late to the party, maybe fashionably late to the party, as now they have worked their way up into semifinals here in tonight's event and take that first game from Space Station. So yeah, they look good, look poised.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
Calm, cool, and collected.
G2 playing kind of to their own pace. Their own pace happens to be a little bit different than what Space Station would play at. And with Space Station, you know, it seems like they wanted to use this as more of a fill out and just kind of figure out how G2 is going to play offensively. The thing is, though, G2 can easily change that up within a matter of seconds. You know, give them 10 seconds and everything changes. They're going to attack the net differently. They're going to attack the midfield completely differently. They'll defend differently even as well until things get a little bit odd like they did in that game. But even then, they just recover and they just go. Someone just goes.
Right.
So they play. G2 plays at almost a I almost said a cerebral level, but it's deeper than that. It's almost like a spiritual level. Whereas Space Station hasn't quite gotten that far yet.
Yeah, almost.
So they got to think a little more, you know?
Yeah, instinct, right? Like some teams can play off of that instinct, and other teams, you can tell there's that fraction of a second in their decision making. And when you're going up against a team that just knows where they want to be and doesn't have to think, before they act, even, as minuscule and as much of a millisecond of that time that might be, it still edges out in favors of those teams that can play at that level, that just have the game plan going in, the game plan set beforehand, and then they're just going from that point on, right? They don't have to think mid-match. They just know.
And you know what? I'd be willing to bet that Space Station came into this with a bit of a plan, and G2 probably didn't. They just said they're going to play their own game, and their own game is doing just fine at the moment. So we've started up game 2 here. Space Station trying to get on the offensive early, and you can see how G2, all 3 players, are proactive in their defense. They don't wait for the ball to come to them. It's something that early Rocket League players learn very quickly when they start advancing through the ranks. Some people like to wait and then react, whereas like Arsenal did right there, and some people just like to swarm around the ball. Rizzo, great save here. Moves it to the corner. There was no other option as JNAPS, that was under threat, manages to get it to the side. And Space Station looking mighty fine here, 45 seconds into this game. As I stumble on my words, G2 has not stumbled defensively.
Yeah, look real solid here. Really composed as Rizzo tries to put one on net. Warded by Cypical. A little bit of a scrap going down in the corner now. We'll see if AXB can make something happen, but it's G2 off the wall to get that clear. Cypical sending it down onto the orange half of the pitch.
Rizzo playing anchor. Don't really see that too often. I like it. It's fantastic. Oh, Chicago near double touch. JNAPS blocked out by ASB. Yikes. That was a close one for Space Station. And with a minute and a half gone in this game 2, it's been fairly well even as far as time spent on either half of the field. As JNAPS, that's towards the net. It will find center. And the Dragons fly.
JNAPS on fire offensively. I think 3 of the last 4 goals scored for G2 Esports within these previous games. So his teammates setting him up well, and he's just putting himself in some great spots to find the net.
It almost seems like classic JNAPS. It's typical off a kickoff, drops it down and in. We got the tying goal here from Space Station. This is actually a really well thought out reaction to the kickoff and the way that it sort of molded itself around 4 different players. Cypical was able to react in time. He went for boost, slammed it over to the kickoff area and got it done, the center of the field, I should say. And there we go, tie game. Well done to Space Station. And this could be the momentum here we're looking for this whole time in the semis. Chicago elects not to go for that shot. Well done. Instead positions it for JNAPS. JNAPS takes a bump from Arsenal, and the net is completely untended as Arsenal moves back looking for that touch. He does get it. Looking for AXB here, but elects to just pass it to himself. Up and above 1. Can't get above 2. Sets up for Cypical, who is setting the wrong way. Those are the little tweaks I was talking about for Space Station that they need to work on as JNAPS punishes hard with help from Chicago.
Chicago with the deep dish to JNAPS on that one. JNAPS on his way to a hat trick, all thanks to Chicago.
That was some Pizza Hut deep dish, tell you what.
I was just worried that joke was going to be a little cheesy. Wait, let the silence build. There we go, okay. Let's move on, shall we? Yeah, everyone. I understand everyone required a little bit of time to recover from that one.
Oh, speaking of recovery, I love this play here from Space Station. Cypical going up the sidewall here. Nice, gentle touch to set it up for himself. Gets it past 1. Chicago up the block, but Arsenal was there just a little bit quicker. And there you go. We're tied at 2. Just surpassed halfway through game 2 as well. And Space Station looking to tie up the series.
Yeah, I like the recovery from Space Station here. They seem to find the openings they need to. And Cypical finds another opening. I'm not sure if he found it or if he made that one. That tight angle.
To the side there. Rizzo. It's not a great touch. JNAPS had to try to emergency save that. I don't think JNAPS was expecting Rizzo to miss that. And that might be why Rizzo's playing back a little bit. He's not Doesn't seem like he's playing quite as confident tonight. And guys, before you flame Rizzo, I'm not flaming him. It's just an observation. You know, everybody has off evenings, off days. And when a pro Rocket League player has an off day, it usually results in still some magic, although this time Civica will take advantage of that.
Yeah,
4-2, yikes.
Finding another one. So, yeah, I think your point's valid, right? Not to have people interpret it the wrong way, but presence out on the field definitely goes to Chicago and JNaps right now. You know, Rizzo being a little quiet as he's silenced by the demo there. Civical now tries to play this one off the wall. It's the bump. Will G2 answer?
Oh, what a touch from Arsenal. Pops it up above his net. That's some confidence.
We talked about that a little bit, the instinct, right? And the confidence in your teammates. And Arsenal seems to have that out there tonight. Here's G2, attempts to get offensive with it. All reset to midfield at the net.
Oh.
Chicago, a nice save.
Oh, that should have been on target. AXB had near open net. Chicago was going up to potentially do something with it, but still. Not going to happen this time. Just about a minute left. Here's AXB on the open net. Will manage to roll that one in. Going in for the spare here, if we can use bowling terms.
I was thinking the
fantastically
same
played.
thing.
That's a 7-10 split, if you ask me.
He double underhanded that one. He had all the time in the world to granny that one down the lane as Space Station takes the 3-goal lead. Just a minute remaining in game 2, and Space Station really has turned this series around so far in terms of their presence out there. We thought G2 was going to come out looking real strong. They did in game number 1 with that 3-1 victory. But Space Station looks like they're trying to send G2 into orbit here tonight. They extend the goal lead to 4.
Orbit doesn't play Rocket League anymore, Frank.
Oh, I was talking about the
Oh,
Gum.
no, that's one of the OG teams.
That's right. Hearing about that. Rizzo off the kickoff, rolls it towards the blue net. That's going to be wide.
Rip Espion. That's all I have to say.
We'll have to see if G2 can answer back in game 3 because Space Station has put so many daggers into this coffin. It is looking like a Vegas magic show.
Yeah, nice. That was fantastically done, Frank.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
People, you know, and the funny part is people just don't know how absolutely on point that pun was. That was beautiful.
We're going to get it. You brought up wrestling early on, and I'm in the mood
Are we going to do it?
to get some color commentary. Just, you know, the quips. Just enough of the quip because, you know, this game is in favor of Space Station in a dominant fashion. And G2 just kind of, you know, pumping the brakes out there. Not a lot of momentum towards the end of that game because I between two caliber teams like this, I think it's a little rare to see them like so visibly slow down in the match. To not keep pressing the offensive and to play at the same speed that they were. In game number 1, while it was their style and it was their speed, comparing that to the end of game number 2 here with the 6-2 victory in Space Station's favor, you can tell they switched it up, and not in like a favorable way, not in like they were trying to adjust to what Space Station was throwing at them, but they were like, you know, visibly recollecting themselves towards the end of that match.
It did kind of seem that way. Yeah, they started having a little bit of fun with it, trying to readjust. Maybe it was a mindset thing. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, obviously, you know, if we're just watching cars fly around in an arena. But let's see what happens here. Game 3. This is the one where the adjustments should start to show. You know, they get a chance to talk to each other a little bit, readjust themselves, not only the mindset, but maybe reposition themselves on the chair. I've even seen that come into play, just in their physical being.
Totally. I mean, it's a big, you know, thing. You got to be comfortable. You see it like in professional sports all the time. The little adjustments. I think of like foul shooting in basketball, right? You have your little rhythm. You have your setup, and sometimes you just got to adjust a little bit out there. So, as it's
drop down!
Piece,
Oh man!
close drop down.
Yeah,
So-
sometimes you got to retire your shoes.
Totally. Lace them up, dust them off, get out there, regain. And with the series, this best of 7 tied at 1s, it's still kind of any, because we saw the dominance that G2 can display in game number 1. We saw a great answer back from Space Station in game number 2. So now it's just trying to predict how either one of these two teams will adjust or throw at each other. As JNaps tries to send to this one, nobody ball in the corner now. Cleared out AXB, put a little speed behind it, tries to drop it down, got a little help from Arsenal. Civical keeps the play alive, but Chicago was up high to get the clear, and now it's JNaps!
What a save, too bad.
Chicago comes in, cleans it up, and there is G2 Esports on the board first in game 3.
Arsenal barely getting there just in time to knock it out of the way. That was some post love if I've ever seen it. And I mean, we're talking back to season 2 of gameplay, I should say. Season 1 RLCS when the posts were completely broken. That right there was some luck, I'll tell you what. But Chicago come in making his own luck, giving G2 the early lead here. Well done. Still Rizzo a little bit quiet, but when you have the knapsack in Chicago in your back pocket, sometimes that's all you got to do is just make sure that everything stays out of your net and do your best to be where you need to be. And Rizzo's actually doing a really good job of that. I was kind of ragging on Rizzo earlier, and watching him now, it seems like he's kind of cleared his head and he's right where he needs to be at the right time. And that's a lot more important. It's almost like a Kronovi role when he was on G2 at one point. Very, very interesting. I kind of like this sort of team makeup. It allows Rizzo to think.
Gives him space, yeah. While Chicago and JNaps kind of get that offensive pressure, he can sort of sit back and read the situation and make some predictions. And those can really turn the tide of any match.
See, I don't want to say team captain per se, but that sort of role, if you will.
Yeah.
Say like on a hockey team or something like that. Kind of call some shots as you see him.
Totally.
AXB, a beautiful block there. Had to pop up early. JNaps out of the corner. 2.5 minutes gone. JNaps, oh, nice little touchdown. Typical getting a little bit faked out here. Wasn't sure what JNaps was going to do it, and just a little tap forward right off the chrome of the bumper. Boop.
JNaps, the 720 into the bumper tap. The Tony Hawk combos coming out for G2 Esports.
You do realize you are casting with Tony Hawk.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Okay, I'm just making sure here because I'll be honest, that was kind of a basic maneuver. Kappa, everybody can do it, Kappa.
Oh yeah. Hand me the sticks and give me 8 hours, and I might hit it.
Maybe once if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you.
On accident.
That said, guys in the chat, if you want to rate some of these goals, please do. Let's do what do you say, out of 10 system?
Yeah. Definitely like ice skating, figure skating scoring. So
figure skating.
We
Okay,
want
yeah.
decimals, no rookie scores, double taps. Everybody knows the rules.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Also, the Russian Federation will not be involved as they won't give any decent scores to, well, anyone.
I was going to say because registration is NA only for the tournament.
Oh, well, yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Just wanted to bring it up as the G2 dominance maintains here. Space Station, just to remind you guys about the match, they look to be struggling a little bit after a dominant game number 2. Now, G2 is adjusted, and they're just not finding the same amount of open shots that they were here.
It looks like G2 has started to communicate a little better as well. A nice little shot here from JNaps. Typical helping him out on this one. And you can see Rizzo again involved. Not necessarily taking shots, maybe not necessarily even adding to his stats per se. But he gets the touches when he needs to, and then his teammates just take it from there. It's working for him. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised. I'm used to seeing Rizzo be a little bit more aggressive, I think would be the word.
Yeah.
And
he's
just not.
More of a backbone role. Like he's kind of the structure that allows JNaps in Chicago to get things going. As JNaps to Chicago occurs. 4-goal lead now with G2 Esports. Game number 3. They've turned it around heavily in their favor. I mean, I really thought Space Station Gaming would have more momentum going into this match after game number 2, but G2 Esports has made them slam the brakes on. They have gotten in their way just thwarted him here in game number 3. I'll be interested to see, because this has been a little swingy back and forth between all these games, if Space Station can answer. But I think the adjustments that G2 Esports have made might prove a little difficult for Space Station here. Just because, 6 goals in game number 2 to 0 goals in game number 3 makes you raise an eyebrow and ask a couple questions.
No, it really does, honestly. And it doesn't help either that AXB has actually left the match for some reason.
Just wants to give, maybe let his teammates shine out there. I'm not sure.
Huh.
We'll
I don't know
make
either.
Sure,
that was a little odd.
Yeah, we'll make sure everything's good with him. Not sure if there's connection issues or whatnot, or if he's just changing the kit out. We'll have to see. But game number 3 gonna go in favor of G2 Esports in commanding fashion. 4-0. Makes Space Station throw up the goose egg. Nothing on the board for them. Only 3 shot attempts, and sometimes that would be low, but you compare it to the efficiency out of G2 Esports. 4 goals, 6 shots. So
And that's it. Yeah.
they're shooting well out there. They're choosing their moments to attack. They're making them count.
And you can see here on this particular screen how Rizzo only 1 assist and 1 save. That's it. It's the only stats he's had. But he was constantly involved in simply getting the ball into a good spot.
Right.
There isn't really a way to track that per se, other than observing it throughout a game or throughout a series, if you will. And Rizzo's been doing this pretty much this whole series.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exactly give you stats. You're not going to see a shot up there. You're not going to see goals or assists or saves or anything. You should probably see more saves, actually, because if he's playing sort of third man, that's how that works usually. You usually end up with more saves simply because of that. But you get a player like Rizzo who is really good at predicting where the ball's going to go next.
Right. Yeah.
You end up with not only less shots for the other team, but you end up with less saves, technically, because the ball never really leaves the midfield to get to your side, if you will. And so that requires some extreme communication skills that it's hard to teach that.
Yeah.
And so when you get 3 players like Chicago, like JNAPS, and Rizzo together, this is the kind of thing that starts to happen eventually. You have an aggressive player in Chicago who likes to take shots, like to get up there, take some risks, and force the other team back. Then you get someone like JNAPS, who is straight, probably one of the best pure instinctual players out there, who doesn't necessarily instigate shots all the time, but he's there. He's there in the offense, and that's just the way he thinks. So you need someone in the backfield like Rizzo to not only call the shots, but to sort of guide his teammates when he's going to go, when to get back, when to start covering another corner or something along those lines. Just as a slight guide, if you will, just in case Chicago or JNAPS is not able to see that. The other side, Space Station, playing much more of a rotational sort of way of thinking. Someone has the ball, they start moving it downfield. And then the other 2 players figure out, depending on where they're at, just kind of figure out where they need to be. Sometimes that ends up in a bit of a mix-up, and they get a little discombobulated. And sometimes you get beauties, like we did in Game 2.
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to how efficient you can be at getting in position. And I say efficient, not necessarily faster, just efficient.
Right. Yeah.
Efficiency comes with speed, but you also you have to save a lot of boost. You have to make sure that you're ready for the next play at all times. And G2 is really good at picking that stuff apart. They always have been.
Yeah, I'm kind of reminded of as we get the match started here, like playing a chord on the guitar. Everything's got to be in tune to get that perfect sounding note, and that's what Rizzo is doing for G2 right now. Recognizes the chord he needs to be playing, the notes he needs to be hitting, that positioning is doing it for G2 out here.
I would actually say that Rizzo is more the drummer.
There you go. Keeping pace. Keeping everybody else.
Keeping everyone else on the same pace.
I like that.
And he can throw in a fill or 2 to really spice things up.
Yeah, I like it. And here we go. Game number 4. AXB has rejoined. Things seem to be good to go here. See it back back in the lobby. Have
You
Chicago.
know, I am wondering if AXB had a little bit of internet trouble, as already we can see a completely different way that he's playing. He's not playing back. He's not playing conservative. He's in G2's face there for the first 30 seconds or so of the game. Beautifully done here. About a minute gone already here on Champions Field. We are looking to see who moves into the finals after this game here.
That's right. $2,000 prize pool on the line. And JNaps, I think he's yet to not have a goal in one of these 4 games we've seen here tonight. So his offense is on.
Yeah. You would be correct, actually. And there's that rotational breakdown that we were talking about.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier from Space Station. They just got a little bit out of position and couldn't recover in time. And G2 recognized what was going on, and they actually just went for it. Completely committed. Arsenal, Sipple on a miss. Space Station a little bit out of sorts right now. And taking a look here at the leaderboard, and yeah, it looks like AXB is having just a touch of internet issues. That looks more ISP related though. It's AXB. See AXB wouldn't necessarily miss that. That's what I'm saying. Is Space Station playing a little bit hobbled, and they're still holding their own pretty well. I have to admit, this is fantastic, all things considered.
Oh, totally. I mean, series is just a 2-1. Space Station, you know, despite limitations and what may or may not be going on kind of outside of the pitch, they're in it. They're not necessarily, you know, outside of the last game where they did struggle to find their footing against G2, putting up a fight. They're hanging in there. Simple gets demoed, so he'll be back in a minute to keep on hanging in there as Arsenal goes down as well from Chicago. And Space Station just trying to get this ball off of their end of the pitch. Struggling a bit against the pressure that G2 is able to apply, but like you mentioned, some little rotation breakdowns that might be occurring on Space Station's side could be affecting that. AXB.
Oh, Arsenal shot.
Arsenal, great follow up out of him.
I like this right here. Arsenal just kind of hanging back, letting AXB do his thing. That was a good shot coming through. It actually allowed, or forced G2 to start defending, and there was a little bit of panic there on the G2 side as the ball was getting dangerously close to their net. And that's exactly what Sipple needed to do, just slow down the ball and slam it home.
Sipple here has to get it by Chicago. Does with a flip. It's contested on that passenger side door. The scrap occurs. Arsenal's up for it, but Chicago there again with a big presence. Wow, to stop that attack.
Pretty good mechanical prowess being shown in the corner there by AXB as Sipple pops this one up looking for AXB, but JNaps gets there in time. AXB just a little slow on the uptake. Something to adjust for, indeed. G2 does like to play fast at times, and right now they are playing quite fast. And it looks like Space Station trying to up the game a little bit. Arsenal bumps out JNaps completely out of the play. That was a harsh body for sure. We got a minute and a half left here on Champions Field. It's typical. Can't do anything with it here. Just popped up a little high. JNaps takes control. Stopped by Arsenal. Trying to see who's going to move on into a match point here. G2 sitting with 2 wins and Space Station with 1. G2 could potentially set up for match point. This time buys. Rizzo popped up. Chicago is up. So is Arsenal. Arsenal just on a miss. That is such a tough touch to get when it bounces off the backboard behind you as a goalie. Arsenal right here. And he was facing backwards. Just could not quite get there. It is an unnatural way to fly, period. You got to fly backwards and up. Everything's reversed. Oh, tough break, but G2 takes the lead.
Yeah, G2, minute left on the clock. That lead might be what they need to put them on match point. There's Rizzo. Kind of quiet in terms of offense, but you see those touches that can be so important. You saw that last touch that led to G2 Esports goal and the lead out of them. There's Arsenal taken out with the demo. Chicago the sidewall past the ASB down to JNaps with the touch. Arsenal up for it now. back onto the orange side of the pitch. Will this set anything up? AXB, but Chicago there with the block, and now Rizzo here with the clear.
Set up for Sipical, stopped by JNaps, popped up. 10 seconds left. AXB, that was a tough one. Rizzo was flying at it as well as Arsenal trying to tie this up. Sipical looking to do something with it. Chicago, a beautiful touch, just sending it way out there. AXB on the block, ball still live. Chicago, a tactical whiff, if I've ever seen one right there. As G2 take the commanding lead in the series, 3-1 with a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, 3-1 for G2, the 29th seed in the Star Circuit, going up against the first seed in Spacestation Gaming, the #1 seed, and G2 positioning themselves to move on to the grand finals if they can take this next game and have a shot at that $1,500 first place prize.
We should probably explain again why they're the 29th seed, a short form version for those who missed the start of the stream.
Yeah,
Frankie did a really good job of that, so I'm just gonna concede to you.
so basically, the Star Circuit points carry over from event to event. The earlier you started competing in the Star Circuit, the earlier you were able to amass points. Space Station Gaming joined early, so all of their players earned more points earlier. G2 fashionably late to the party, so their players did not have enough time to amass enough points for a higher seed. But after tonight, after taking down the leaderboard point leaders in Space Station Gaming, they will definitely be higher seeded going into the next event. Game 5, match point for G2. So on the back end, gets the touch. A little bit of this offense. Typical goes down to the demo. JNaps now, Chicago up for it. A little bit missed off the bumper.
Oh no, oh man.
I thought Rizzo was going for it, but he might not have wanted to overcommit.
Yeah, well, there was two players coming up on the net as well, and those two players went for the save. That was pretty much an open net for G2, but they didn't quite have that one going. I don't think they were expecting that either. So, luckily, Arsenal, I believe that was Arsenal, ended up knocking it away. They're still fighting out of their corner. Move it onto the orange side as JNaps battling with Rizzo. Sipical sets it up. Long clear. Back in the day, we used to call it ping pong. It was ping ponging back and forth.
That was just a foul.
Don't really see that too often here in the pro side of things, or at least when pro players are playing. Nice little pinch here from Chicago to get it around the corner. Set up. Nobody there. Rizzo advancing quickly. Is G2 right back on the offense? Quick as a cat. No, it's quick as a mongoose. That's the Ace Ventura line. Thank you.
Either way, both very quick animals. So here we have AXB.
A cat.
A cat, a lion. G2 Esports, regardless, has the eye of the tiger out here.
Sipical! Oh my god! He nearly blocked the shot from Arsenal too. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
you're good.
Man.
Yeah. Space Station answering back. Game 5, the nice setup. Touch.
Splash.
And will that splash lead to the wave that Space Station Gaming needs to get back in game number 5 here? G2 Esports still on that match point.
Nice stop by AXB. Arsenal to take over. Chicago shadowing. Nice little touch there. That forces a pinch. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to defend directly. A lot of players can learn that. You can shadow defense a little bit. Just stay away. Let them do their thing. They're not really threatening the net or anything. So just let them move around and maybe get a better touch out of the whole situation. Much like what happened there to G2 as Chicago tries to carry this one. AXB calmly on the net. Nice little carry here. Gets bumped by Rizzo. Arsenal has to take over. Chicago over to JNaps. Passing play. It's high. Chicago's up for it. Tries to knock it down. Challenged by Arsenal. I think that was just enough to knock him loose. And now right back on offense is G2. They are pressuring hard here. Space Station tested on their defense. At Chicago, another pass. G2 constantly looking for passes all the time.
Yeah, G2 really working hard to get, those shot attempts, those positions, everything. Do it so well. Rizzo getting a little bit, past that midway point on the field there. A little bit more offensive with it. Good stuff out of him. But G2 Esports, as this clock winds down, has to find this tying goal if they want to close it out here.
Set up. JNaps is there. So is AXB. Good read by AXB. Challenge that shot as Arsenal. Nice long clear here. But again, G2 is right there to defend. Sipkel trying to set something up, but Spacestation not quite as quick on the uptick again. They've had that issue before in this series. And G2 is at full bore. They are going pedal to the metal. Nitrous-infused action here at Beyond. Arsenal can't quite make that one. He's going to let that one go. Set up for something else. Block out from Chicago's clear. AXB a little bit out of position again. They're just falling just a touch too close. Need to spread out a little bit. They might be able to get something going here. But Space Station on their last legs here as the minute timer goes off.
Yep, one win remaining, almost. Finds the net on that one. G2 has a chance now. Chicago off the backboard, a pop up from Arsenal puts that one out of reach.
AXB to Sipkel, and he blocks out JNaps.
Yeah.
That was a smart play right here. JNaps, not a great touch. Chicago tried to race for it. AXB over to Sipkel. There was a bump. And luckily for Sipkel, that didn't knock the ball out and away. It looks like a little bit of a bounce over. Okay, then. G2 now really need to push. They could actually win this still. 35 seconds, a shot comes through, and JNaps manages to slam that one home.
All right, still a game here then. So G2 answering back in the blink of an eye. JNaps yet again. Finally, he needed one on the board to remain having that statistics of a goal in each game. So he gets this one, and this could be big. See if G2 can get this one. Arsenal needed that touch because that was looking like a kickoff in G2's favor.
35 seconds at kickoff. Now 25. Rizzo attempting. Typical on the miss. Where's JNaps? He's not there. He's just trying to cover the backfield, make sure nobody scores again. But now they're on the defense. Pass up over to Chicago. Chicago, he's reaching in. Can't quite pull that one out, but still on offense. Right back at you, says Space Station. There's still time. Arsenal tries to shut that one down. 2 seconds. It's in the air. G2 could take this and move on to the finals, or we move on to the next game. It's one of the others. JNaps down to Rizzo. Chicago's got a race for it. Simple trying to just knock it away. Find some open pitch. Open pitch he does, and Space Station stays alive.
Good stuff out of Space Station, battling their way back, cutting this G2 lead down. And what amazes me, looking at these stats right now, I mean, Space Station, minimal shot attempts. G2 Esports definitely had some more offense going, but Space Station Gaming was just able to hold them off there in that last game and take the W.
And look at all the shots. G2 took a ton of shots, but Space Station's defense working very well right now. It seems like they've realized that that was one of their issues. And so the rotation happening, everything's happening the way that it needs to happen for Space Station. And that was well done. They just need to replicate it.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, especially against G2, because like we mentioned towards the beginning of the series, G2 can change up at any time, at any moment. They don't always change up at the start of the game either. They do play a little bit of mind games. So Space Station being so confident, G2, all they have to do basically is start blocking like crazy, knock down the confidence, and then strike.
Yeah, and I think
so many times.
Exactly what I was just going to say. So game 6 here, G2 Esports still on match point. Space Station Gaming battling back hard. JNaps, little touch.
Triple fit.
Rizzo. Key halt there to Space Station Gaming's offense. Pacifical able to contest this one, but Chicago keeping the play alive. Ball knocked out into the corner here. Up.
That was a big miss.
Little touch, yeah. Thankfully, nothing. Going from G2 in a great spot. Forces them to reset the play. G2 still trying to work for maintaining possession here.
That battling it out here in the midfield as JNaps stops for Rizzo. Rizzo on the fake, went for a bump on Sipical. That was an interesting play if I've ever seen one. Chicago pops up looking for JNaps. AXB just kind of getting in the way. I know exactly what he was trying to do there other than just kind of get in the way. Sometimes that's all you got to do on some of these complex plays for it to break down as Arsenal moves past Chicago. JNaps in an odd position, popped up. Rizzo, that was a rare miss. Pops up again. JNaps just too much speed, couldn't get up all the way where he needed to get behind the ball. And now we move on to the G2 side. Space Station setting up. Sipical off the ceiling. That was going to be a tough one as JNaps finds Rizzo. Right down the line again. Arsenal. A lot of pop-up plays here. Ball spending a ton of time in the air. Just kind of seems like everyone's just, it's almost like game one again.
Yeah, kind of a full reset. I think G2 doesn't want to force that game 7. Space Station knows they need to. So everyone kind of just playing a little scrappy, a little bit out there, a little unorganized as both teams try to adjust, I think.
And we've seen a couple of demos here and there, a couple of bumps, like right there. JNaps trying to follow this one in, and Sipical comes in nicely, reading the play as Rizzo got involved. Rizzo's starting to get a little bit more involved here, just overall.
Yeah.
Allowing his teammates to sort of get reorganized, if you will. JNaps on Sipical. Sipical, that's enough. He just cut off the shooting lane. Sometimes that's all you got to do as a defender, is just cut off the shooting lane and don't necessarily force the save all the time as Arsenal takes a shot, manages to find the lower corner right in front of JNaps. That was a beautiful shot here.
Yeah, and great setup from Sipical as well. Up, and then Arsenal able to follow that one up. So Space Station clawing back as we near the halfway point in game number 6. G2 once again finds themselves down a goal near that halfway mark. Love to battle a little bit, work their way back into this one. Chicago tries to. AXB a little clear. JNaps regains possession. Arsenal in a position to contest, but staying low, trying to read this G2 onslaught that is coming at Space Station as G2 tries to tie this one up.
AXB getting involved for a bit of a shot. Might be just trying to draw out defenders. Sometimes that's what a shot is designed to do. Definitely gonna miss, but G2's so good at reading that. Sipical up for this, so is Rizzo. Rizzo, wait a minute. Hang on, need to watch this because I think that was an own goal.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got caught up on the backboard here. Rizzo's definitely...
Nope, Sipical is right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautifully done. Manages to curve the car around Rizzo to knock the ball down. Well done.
Yeah, fantastic shot. Space Station kicking it into high gear right when they need to. Game 6.
Oh,
JNaps! Ooh! Ball ends up going wide, but yeah, makes a great aggressive play there. Blue side Chicago, but AXB there to contest. Arsenal now off the bumper, gets a nice little clear. Resets this play.
Minute and a half left here, 2-0 for Space Station. AXB trying to get in position here. Chicago takes the shot, now double commit on the save. JNaps is there, but Sipical also following through. Rizzo popped up here, just trying to buy his teammates some time. Get boosted up, get back on it. Chicago out of the corner looking for JNaps, but Arsenal's there. JNaps does turn away. One-on-one in the corner. Arsenal and Rizzo getting involved here as JNaps position himself for the offensive push. Not going to happen, says AXB, and right back in. Space Station trying to keep this ball on the other side of the pitch as a shot comes through Sipical that will go wide. It was a risky shot anyways going from that side and that low. Arsenal sends it away. G2 moving on down. Set up. Rizzo, the mind games on Sipical. Drop down for JNaps, but AXB is right there. They're double defending in the net. Space Station trying to defend like crazy.
Yeah, the Space Station defense for the last 2 minutes has been insane. Just an absolute stalwart to G2 Esports offense. And they look exhausted out there. G2 has been throwing shot after shot at the net. Has found none of them. The 10-second mark now ticks down in game number 6. Space Station Gaming has worked their way into a Game 7 here in semifinal number 1.
Wow, what a way to start off the stream. A Game 7, 2 RLCS teams just going ham on each other.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in, because this is a great time to be doing said tune in.
Yeah, like you mentioned as we went into the series, you know, on paper, G2 Esports probably the favorites in this matchup. But the perseverance, you know, after game number 3, man, G2 4-0'd Spacestation Gaming. And that's an easy time to roll over, right? And be like, shoot, you know, it's G2. Well, we gave it we had a run at them, but they've got all the momentum in the world. And then they even lose the second game, 2-1. But they work back the next 2 games, a 2-1 win, a 2-0 win. And now Spacestation has the opportunity to find themselves in the grand finals yet again. I don't think there's been a Star Circuit event that hasn't had Spacestation Gaming in the grand finals, I want to say.
We're going to have the Boffins check on that, but because we have a Game 7 on our hands, and we're going to have to focus on that for the time being. 10 seconds in already, G2 starting to establish some control on the offensive end. Cypical racing out of the corner for this. JNEPS does get involved and takes a demo for his transgressions against Cypical. Chicago popped up here. Oh, that's dangerous! Oh, JXP just couldn't quite catch up to that. We got Arsenal trying to play a little bit farther back than probably wanted to on that play. But speaking of Arsenal, trying to wrap this one around the corner. He's got 2 G2 players chasing after the ball. Rizzo and Chicago figured out. JNEPS getting involved. I think Chicago's had a boost as well. Yeah, he's running real low.
Another good touch out of Rizzo. You mentioned how his positioning, his plays have been a big turning point that have allowed Chicago and JNAPS to open up their offense. There's a demo from him onto AXB. G2 Esports find a goal here. Rizzo attempts to get something going to recenter that one. Spacestation, another solid clear. Their defense has stepped up immensely these past couple of games. And G2 Esports, though they're able to change the pace so quickly, they've yet to find a gear that works against Spacestation.
Man, that could have been a golden goal opportunity there as Arsenal popped this one down. Rizzo looking for the empty net. Cypical's there just in time. Cypical, I think, was going for boost on that play and didn't get any. He's collecting little pads here and there. JNEP steals a boost and still can't quite break the stalwart that is Cypical at this time. Cypical on the slow play. Still running a little low on boost. JNEP's again stealing boost. We got boost steal all over the place. G2 trying to take control of the pitch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Boost stealing. Yeah, a boost steal there. XB now up again. No boost. Finds a canister there. Chicago with some heat on that one. But Arsenal, the killer save.
Coming up on halftime. Game 7 to see who moves into the finals. $1,500 on the line. As many points as you can get for the Star Circuit. Remember, $10,000 final coming soon. More details to be released as we go along here in Chicago. Nice little catch here. The play has slowed down immensely. Looking for some help. I think Rizzo was right there. I mean, he was there just in case, and he didn't go up for that. It was definitely going to be blocked. This play has kind of slowed to a standstill compared to what we were seeing before.
Yeah, I mean, as that clock ticks down, it's a Game 7. Every shot and every second counts out here, so no mistakes want to be made by either of those teams. AXB tries to knock it down to Cypical. Back up for it. Arsenal and AXB have to run back as Chicago and JNAPS try to get involved on this one. Here comes JNAPS, has to get it past AXB, but AXB gets the clear.
Chicago is right there. A great read once again. Arsenal can't quite clear this one out. Shut down by Rizzo. That's that midfield defense I was talking about previously. Where Rizzo, once he starts getting involved on that side, as AXB just can't do anything with this. Now they're nose to nose. They got teammates nose to nose. I haven't seen a Rule 1 ruling on that yet. The teammates go nose to nose. And I believe it's break as soon as possible because well, it's like kissing your teammate. Who really wants to do that?
Well, it's like Game 7 and it's still 0-0.
Cypical. It's knocked down. G2 stuck in their tracks. Arsenal just getting involved. What just a super awkward place. Stuck there at the top of the crease. Oh, that was weird. And so we got a minute left. It's becoming nerve-wracking for both these teams as JDabs takes a shot. It's off the post. I'm sorry, the crossbar right there. Typical grabs a little boost. He's got a little backup here. Arsenal moving the ball a little faster. Chicago knocks it sideways. Nice and easy for him. AXB, they're 2 up. G2 moving on down the pitch. Sipical is there just in case it's JNaps. Can he do anything with this? No, Chicago elects not to take that shot as Arsenal is right there. AXB waiting in the corner. Chicago challenges. That moves ball just a little bit farther down, but a shot coming from JNaps. 23 seconds left. It's still 0-0, and both teams have a shot at moving into the finals. They're duking it out like it's RLCS right now, for sure, as Rizzo demoing like crazy, just going ham. We might see an overtime here. AXB popped up, dropped down to Arsenal. JNaps reads it perfectly off the ceiling. Now Sipical has to keep this alive. He's just going to let that one go, and we have overtime.
Game 7, semifinal number 1, overtime between Space Station and G2. Ball just wide. Sipical, nice touch. Gets the bump from JNaps. Chicago tries to get up for that one, but Arsenal on the offensive. Thankfully, the backbone. Rizzo gets a solid touch there. Ball's going to be recentered. The pass back to Sipical. JNaps and Chicago there. Any touch might do it.
Oh my God, Arsenal. Oh, he's got to be kicking himself after that.
Valiant attempt. Some Space Station early offensive aggression. A save out of Rizzo. Here comes Arsenal again, but Chicago is there to try to stop it. AXB, a little bump, but Rizzo is up. Sipical has to save this one. Do we have any magic left from G2? That play is stopped. Arsenal up. Over to Sipical. Chicago clears it off this sidewall. Here comes Rizzo. Over AXB. Arsenal was there. JNaps, though, can't get down in time.
Looks like JNaps is expecting Sipical to make a touch there, and Sipical actually missed. I want to say tactical lift. Chicago takes a shot, going high. Sipical, nice touch to send that one away. JNaps right back in. Rizzo's involved. Pass back to Chicago. Popped up, but Arsenal is there, just buying a little time again. You see the communication working well on G2. It seems like they have found their stride. They haven't been able to get past Space Station just yet, but SSG have applied some great pressure there, especially at the beginning of the overtime.
Yeah, right off the start, Space Station real strong. Rizzo, no touch there.
Sipical! Space Station take down G2.
Space Station with the overtime. Minute 44 goal, the drop down. Finds the net. And like you said, way back when in game number 1, on paper, G2 wins these. But Space Station Gaming had different plans tonight. They said, we've been in the grand finals in the Star Circuit before. We're number 1 on the leaderboards. We're going to the grand finals again. That $2,000 total prize pool on the line. So while G2 has battled back in that 29th seed, they've gotten a good chunk of points for their seeding going into the next event. But Space Station comes out at the very end and closes out semifinal number 1. Ninja Rider, what'd you think of that first semifinal?
I think this is a preview because on March 21st, they face for the big one.
Right.
In league play. So these two teams are going at it. Stay tuned March 21st on RLCS, where they do face off, where it's all for all the big marbles at least. I mean, we've got some pretty big marbles here, but not like RLCS marbles, I'll tell you what. Some solid marbles, tell you what. Anyways, right, March 21st. So I think that this series is a telltale sign that Space Station is here to play for sure. G2, I don't know if G2 was kind of thinking maybe they'd be able to sort of steamroll them a little bit. Just a lot of confidence going in, especially with game 1 and all that. But Space Station battled back. They never gave up. And you had mentioned before that a lot of teams would probably just roll over because it's G2.
Right.
Space Station have now proved they will not roll over. And if you don't roll over for G2, you don't roll over for anyone. This is a team to watch now.
Yeah, I feel like all of these RLCS teams are teams to watch at this point. There's no guarantees, right? Like last qualifier, we saw Cloud9 beat NRG. This qualifier, we see Spacestation Gaming beat G2. And next match, next semifinal match that we have coming up after the break we'll take in a little bit is going to be Ghost Gaming going up against Rogue. So, yeah, like all these matches are intense. They're all close. They all come down to these little details, coming down to the wire. I mean, you saw it there with that match. Game 7 overtime, final goal for the victory on Spacestation Gaming. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned. We've still got one more semifinal match to go before we get into tonight's grand final. So don't go anywhere. Be right back.